So, we're reading today from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 1, Arjuna's Despondency. While sitting nearby the great field where his sons were about to engage in conflict with his pious nephews, Dhritarashtra, the blind and aging monarch, inquired of his trusted secretary, "Sanjay, my sons and the sons of Pandu, my departed brother, have now assembled in the sacred field known as Kurukshetra. Please tell me what they have accomplished in their preparations for battle." Sanjay, who had been enabled to envision things even at a distance by the mercy of his spiritual master Vyas, then began to answer, describing the scene near the military front. After surveying the formations into which the Pandava armies had arranged themselves, your eldest son, King Duryodhana, approached nearby his teacher Dronacharya and addressed him as follows. "O my revered teacher, just cast your vision upon the mighty military forces arranged into phalanxes under the supervision of your brilliant student Drishtadyumna, the son of Drupada. There, alongside Bhima and Arjuna, stand many valiant warriors who are practically equal in valor with them. Yuyudhan, Virat and Drupada are amongst those great bowmen, each of whom could defeat 10,000 archers in single-handed combat. Drishtaketu, Chekitan, Kashiraj, Purijit, Kuntibhoja and Saibya, all powerful heroes, pillars of the human civilization, stand there as well. Yudamanyu the mighty, Uttamoja the brave, along with Abhimanyu, the son of Subhadra, and Draupadi's valiant sons, are all aligned together against us. Great indeed is their prowess with bow and chariot. But now, O most cultured of men, I shall speak to you about the great commanders who have taken charge of my armies. Please take note with care. Your own good self, as well as Bhishma, Karna, Kripacharya, Asvatthama and Bharishrava, are all undefeated champions who have never failed to be victorious in battle. Many other great heroes as well are fully ready to give up their lives for my cause. All are very well armed with the most potent weaponry and are expert in the strategic aspects of warfare. There is no way to measure the full strength of our forces, and what is more, we have the shelter and leadership of our great and noble grandfather Bhishma. Our opponents, on the other hand, have a far limited force led by the less experienced General Bhima. Now all of our forces have been well arranged in the various parts of the field, and the strategy has been well developed. So I request you and all our generals to give the fullest possible cooperation to Grandfather Bhishma. Then victory is sure." Sanjay continued, "Bhishma Dev the elder, the grandfather revered by both the armies, then blew upon his conch shell and sent a sound like the roar of a lion through the ether. Hearing this, Duryodhana became elated, relishing the thought of victory. His armies responded by simultaneously releasing an uproarious vibration of conch shells, bugles, trumpets, and all kinds of drums and horns. The sound was tumultuous. Remaining on a powerful chariot drawn by cloud-white horses, Lord Krishna, the husband of the goddess of fortune, along with Arjuna, the second eldest of the 5 Pandava brothers, blew their sacred conch shells. The master of all sentient beings, Lord Krishna, blew his conch of the name Panchajanya, and Arjuna blew his, the great conch named Devadatta. Then General Bhima, who was famous as the performer of impossible tasks and for his wolf-like appetite, blew his conch, the pound drum. The conch shell named Ananta Vijaya, which means unlimited and complete victory, was sounded by the rightful King Yudhishthira, and the 2 younger Pandava brothers, Nakula and Sahadev, then blew their horns named Sughosh and Manipushpaka respectively. O ruler of the world, the king of Varanasi and the great warrior Shikandi, the heroic Drishtadyumna and the noble prince Virat, Satyaki and King Drupada of the Panchalas, along with his sons, as well as many other great warriors such as Arjuna's son Abhimanyu, none of whom had ever seen defeat in the field of battle, then sounded their conch shells one after another. The great symphony produced by the vibration of all the Pandava horns seemed to shatter heaven and earth, as well as the confidence in the hearts of those allied to Dhritarashtra. Thereupon, surveying the forces that had been assembled by Dhritarashtra's sons, Arjuna stood on his chariot, upon which was flying his flag, emblazoned with the figure of Hanuman, the monkey devotee of Lord Ram, and took up his bow, preparing to release his arrows. O mighty king, Arjuna then spoke these words to the Lord of all beings, Sri Krishna. O you whose nature is supreme perfection, please lead our chariot forward between the two armies, so that I may observe the great forces that have assembled here out of their desire to make war. Let me see with whom I must struggle in the impending strife. I wish to see those who have come together to fight with us, desiring to endear themselves to Duryodhana, who is beset by crooked intelligence. Sanjay narrated, O descendant of the noble line of Bharat, upon hearing the words of Arjuna, who was famed for his victory over ignorance, the proprietor of the senses, Lord Krishna, then drew their car, which was the finest amongst chariots, forward to the middle ground between the armies. There in the foreground, not far from Bhishma, Drona, and all of the great world leaders, Sri Krishna, the omniscient Lord, said, O beloved son of Pritha, just observe the great assembly of the Kurus. There Arjuna could observe his fathers and grandfathers, his revered teachers and uncles, his brothers and sons, grandsons and friends, his father-in-law and his well-wishers, who were all standing there amidst the legions of the two armies. Seeing all of his relatives brought together in such perilous circumstances, Arjuna became pervaded with a great compassion for them, and while he was thus lamenting, he spoke as follows. O Krishna, after seeing all of these, my own dear kinsmen, assembled in such a militant spirit, the limbs of my body have begun to shake and my mouth has become parched. My body is trembling and my hair is standing on end. My famous bow, Gandiva, is falling out of my hands, whilst my skin feels as if on fire. O Keshava, O Krishna, I do not feel that I can remain here any longer. I am suffering from the shock of all this madness, which seems unable to produce anything besides the anomaly of that which we seek. O my Lord, why are we here? No good can come from killing our own relatives, and neither can I wish to become victorious in such a fight. Even upon winning, I could not derive any happiness from the kingdom thus obtained. My dear Govinda, satisfy the senses of all, of what value will such a kingdom be? Of what value will happiness or even life itself be, when all those with whom we could enjoy such a happy life have now taken up their places on the battlefield? O killer of the demon Madhu, when the lives and wealth of my revered teachers, my sons, my fathers, my grandfathers, maternal uncles, my father-in-law, and all my dear friends are about to be lost, why should I desire to kill them, even if unrivaled sovereignty of the three worlds were at stake? O shelter of all, O my beloved Krishna, I can find no pleasure in the thought of fighting merely for the control of this earth. We will certainly incur sin for such acts, even though they be felonious aggressors. Surely the sons of Dhritarashtra, our own dear friends and kinsfolk, do not deserve death from our hands. So how, my dear Madhava, can we hope to become happy by such killing? O shelter of all beings, having been overcome by greed, they are unable to see the great fault of killing dear friends and family members. We, on the other hand, will certainly incur sinful reaction if we participate in such a struggle, knowing fully well the great crime committed by the destruction of family and dynasty. With the destruction of the dynasty and of the family's eternal religious values, the family will be completely overtaken by religion. With the rise of irreligion, the ladies of the house will become polluted, and when the flower of womanhood has thus been tainted, illegitimate and unloved children will be conceived. The entire family will then be afflicted by the hellish condition which the uncultured children will create. In such families, the obligations to make offerings for the well-being of the ancestors will certainly be neglected, and our forefathers will suffer deprivation. Those who destroy family religious values devastate in turn all cooperation within the community and all social values. I've heard from authoritative sources that those who destroy family religious traditions are always kept resident in hell. Oh, what a mysterious turn of fate it is that we proceed to commit such a great sin, being impelled by greed for the happiness enjoyed by kings. For this we are prepared to kill our own dear ones. Instead of meeting our cousin brothers on the field of battle, it is my conclusion that it would be preferable for me to allow myself to be killed, without taking up arms or resisting. Sanjay then said, being deeply disturbed in mind, Arjuna then cast down his bow and arrows and sat lamenting on his chariot.